Hey, welcome into Half the Distance Live, our weekly podcast where we discuss all things NFL. Just finished the second weekend of preseason games. Most teams did not have many of their starters out there. I can tell you as a Bears fan, not a single offensive starter on the field against the Colts. I get it. You already know those are your starters. See what the backups are worth, giving them real meaningful play.
You definitely won't risk getting Justin Fields hurt.
Nope, not at all. But for all the teams, you know who your starters are unless you are just one of the bottom barrel teams. So it behooves you to get your backups as much time as possible on the field. Make sure that you are choosing correctly when it comes to the guys that you are cutting and keeping. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of football. I'll be honest, it's kind of hard sometimes because the offense just isn't run very well by the backups usually. There is
usually.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant news this week, though. Terron Armstead, starting left tackle for the Dolphins, avoided the need for surgery after injuring one of his legs in a practice with another team, and it's good for Tua, because if anyone doesn't want to get hit by another person, it's the man who will have his 95th consecutive concussion, should have that happen to him. Also for the Dolphins, Devin Achane had to be carted off the field last night, still waiting news on his injury. An interesting one, the Jets signed Dalvin Cook this week. And I thought, when that happened, I was like, oh, a little worry about Breece Hall coming back?
Insurance policy.
The very same fucking day, Breece Hall comes off the PUP list.
Yep.
So I don't know what to think.
I mean, you've got a guy who was what was he, like 4 years in a row, 1,000 yards?
More than that.
4
or 5, yeah. Maybe just 5, I don't know. But.
And you get him for an absolute steal.
Yeah.
Because, not to repeat ourselves from last week about the running back market, but the running back market is a goddamn bargain.
Well, he got like $7 or $8 million.
Yep. Yes.
Which is just a little shy of what the guys who get franchise tag are getting, which is kind of sad.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They got him for an absolute steal.
And Ezekiel Elliott, sorry, I'll bring that up right now also, signed with the Patriots.
Yeah.
For $6 million, but incentive laden. It's only like $3 million.
Which is the Patriots move.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To be honest, I like that, but even still, that's not enough money.
No.
Well, all right. So
maybe for Zeke.
Maybe for Zeke,
a little
but
washed.
but even still, like so now the Jets have two great running backs.
I tell you what, the biggest problem for them right now, from what I have seen watching Hard Knocks, and granted we're not watching practice tape or anything. Their offensive line needs some help. Like, maybe they signed Dalvin Cook because he's better as a third down back for pass blocking.
Could be.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Most young running backs are not great at it. I'm not saying Breece Hall is bad.
But something he needs to
But he
learn
wasn't
to
playing
do.
long enough last year for me to get a very good feel for if he's actually good. I know he can catch the ball.
Yeah.
He can run it, absolutely. So maybe it was a step in that direction just to help out Aaron Rodgers a bit, because it is a veteran back who can come in and he was running a very similar offense in Minnesota also. So
Yeah, and there's not a lot of good O linemen just waiting around for a good contract.
there are not.
So.
There are not.
But also, you think about what Aaron Rodgers had last year with the Green Bay. He had two good running backs that were able to alternate.
Much
between the
better
needs.
offensive line he had last year, though.
True, but I mean,
Bakhtiari and the rest of those guys for the Packers, that's a good offensive line.
Yeah, but Jones and Dillon were a great running back duo. So now he's got something. So I mean, no one has the legs of Quadzilla, but still.
Well, it does make you wonder if it's going to be a little bit more of a ground and pound type of team than, because initially signing him, bringing Hackett in, you've got Garrett Wilson and you've got some other good weapons around there too. I was kind of wondering if this will be a little more pass happy, but
But they have a good run threat consistently.
Exactly.
Gives them a few more seconds every time.
Yep.
And
plus it's nice to have Dalvin James Cook in the same division as his brother, James Dalvin Cook.
come on, parents. Come on.
Come on, put a little effort in. I'm not asking for much. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Come on.
JD and DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke when I first heard that. I had to look it up myself. Miles Sanders, who actually signed, I believe, the largest of the free agent contracts for running backs in the offseason, with David Montgomery being closely behind with 3 years and $18 million. I don't know exactly what Miles Sanders was, but he was signed to be the starter for the Panthers. Groin injury. Likely going to miss the rest of the preseason. He doesn't need to be out there anyway. Frank Reich's offense, he has played in before. I don't think he needs to be out on the field that much. You missed him, he's number 10 on your list there. 4-year, 25.4. So
Yeah.
right about the same average, though, as Montgomery. He only got a little bit more. Just got one extra year.
So he just got hurt.
4 years, 25.4. Yeah, his hammy.
Oh, that's gonna change.
I'm sorry, his groin. The groin.
It's gonna change my picks for later on.
Oh, there you go. Also, for the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown hurt his ankle. Only supposed to be out a week. Not too bad there. However, Jameson Williams, who was a second-round pick for them last year, had been injured playing at Alabama and missed a lot of the beginning of the season. Had one catch last year, 40 yards, touchdown. Kind of flashy, but only the one catch over like 6 games. He was already going to be suspended for the first 6 weeks of the season because the new online gambling thing, he didn't just gamble at the team's facility. No, he did. He was just gambling at the team's facility, not making NFL bets, but making NBA bets or something.
Right.
So, like, use your
Or
own fucking
college
Wi-Fi.
football.
That's so stupid.
I know.
You know.
I know. And also, you have the rest of your life to gamble on NFL games and college games and all that. Maybe just make some money first and be a good pro. I don't know.
Yep.
Just thinking out loud. But yeah, so he's going to be suspended for the first 6 games, and he's out the rest of the preseason. Is he even going to be ready to play by the end of the season? Like, if they make the postseason, will he actually be ready to play?
True.
I don't even know. Brock Purdy, the child of one of the Harbaughs. I'm not sure which one. He looks just like John Harbaugh.
Oh yeah. That's your like being real. I was like, wait, what?
No, he just looks just like John Harbaugh's younger self. Made his preseason debut. Actually looked pretty good, so maybe there is some hope for their quarterbacks there because Sam Darnold was out playing Trey Lance previous to this, so they need Purdy to play. And then also, last one, very nice news that Isaiah Bolden, who was a rookie cornerback for the Patriots, drafted just this past year, was taken off the field on a stretcher last night, but does have movement and feeling in his extremities. Always a good thing, especially for a 7th-round pick.
Weren't there 2 on Thursday as well? Carted on in stretchers?
Yeah.
Like this preseason, man.
Yeah. Like, season-long ending injuries to anyone of serious note yet, but
Fuck you.
enough. Okay, Tim Patrick was a 30-year
So you know
wideout,
exactly what I was
coming
talking
back
about.
from a massive knee injury already, who hadn't played. His best season was like 50 catches, 700 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I get it. It's a big loss for the Broncos wide receiver room, but
He was the third option.
Yeah, it's not like you're losing a 23-year-old wide receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
if it was Jerry Jeudy, I'd bring it up every week in the big losses for the season.
Yeah.
If it was Mr. Unlimited, I'd be like, congratulations, you got out of that contract.
It's the only way.
All right. This week we're going to discuss a little bit of... Because last week we did the head coaches.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be kind of fun this week to discuss new offensive and defensive coordinators.
Yep.
So let's start with the offense. Is there anyone that y'all would like to mention? First and foremost.
I think the biggest one is Eric Bieniemy, and that might be worth holding off on a little bit.
Okay.
I think he's the biggest name out there.
Yeah.
The next 2 for me are probably Kellen Moore and Nathaniel Hackett. In terms of probably some positive moves. Yeah.
All right, well, let's just start off with Nathaniel Hackett. He was the offensive coordinator in name in Green Bay for a couple years with Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur, the head coach there, actually calls pretty much all of the offensive plays. But he was instrumental in implementing the game plan for each week, helping plan it out with the quarterbacks. He and Aaron Rodgers have a fantastic working relationship.
Did well enough to get him a head coaching gig for a year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it should be an interesting team. Again, as we just talked about, they've got 2 solid running backs now. They have Garrett Wilson. They've got some interesting weapons around there. The biggest question is, are they going to be able to protect Aaron Rodgers long enough to actually run this scheme?
Right. But I think, right now, it's very clearly, let's make Aaron Rodgers comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's to me, like, everything around there is, he literally had a list of, like, can I get this wide receiver? Like, it was, so, now it's, can I get my offensive coordinator back? Which is going to make the planning for all of the offense that much better because he's going to be on board. Yep. They're going to agree, so the more that he's in agreement with whatever's going on, and let's be honest, he's got a high IQ. Football IQ.
Yes.
I don't know how smart he is, just because he was a Jeopardy host doesn't mean
They are given the answers as the host.
But I think that adds a lot of value. So I think that's what's beneficial is just keeping everything into a happy, fun ecosystem.
Yeah.
All to make him as pleasant to work around as possible.
Yeah, and apparently it is paying some dividends already. If you've watched any of the HBO show Hard Knocks, he's actually out there helping Zach Wilson, being a mentor.
Wait, what?
I know. All the things you heard that he wasn't great about with Jordan Love, he's apparently fine about as long as it's a backup that was already there when he comes in.
Yeah, I don't buy that. It's a deep fake. Yeah. it's just a ayahuasca trip.
Is that it? Right.
Maybe he thinks he's actually tripping right now.
I mean, good for him. Like, I mean, if he wants to break away from the Brett Favre mold, like, being an actual QB mentor is the way to do it.
Break away from the Brett Favre mold by leaving the the Packers to go to the Jets.
But also,
he's going to go to the Vikings next to continue this breaking of the mold.
Well, he's still got to send dick pics too, though.
He's got to find a masseuse there. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, he was unhappy in Green Bay with the management in general. Right? We don't know all the full details. Why would he want to train his replacement when he wasn't even a part of the conversation to draft Jordan Love?
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Why would I want to do that? Now this is on like his own thing. He gets to do that, and if he can help his legacy with the Jets by working with Zach Wilson, that's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, what if I'm got another toe injury? Right? He can carry the team for a little bit longer.
It'd be
until
nice
I
to be
come
out
back.
a few games
He
and
does.
actually
You
make the
think he'll
playoffs.
throw his foot up on the desk again where everyone can see it so he can point out which toe it is?
He doesn't give a fuck. You're
I know he
goddamn
does,
right.
and he will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is still one of the greatest things I've ever seen from him.
You literally are watching someone who felt they were in a toxic environment, a toxic workplace environment for those of us with 9 to 5s, right? And elsewhere he moves and he's like, I have some value into this team. My opinion matters. We're doing things and he feels automatically like this is my team now because I have input and I can make big changes. And I think that's the one. Not that I think Hackett is good or bad.
But they have a good relationship.
But that's why I
important.
think it's a pretty big one.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do. I mean, I think Hackett will do just fine as OC in New York.
Right.
Like we just said, he's got a lot of weapons to work with, and he'll actually be calling plays. I mean, even before he got fired last year from Denver, he wasn't calling the plays anymore. Really,
Mm-hmm.
Well, this year, hopefully, he won't need a crowd to help him with the play clock either.
The play clock.
Still one of my favorite memories from last year, also. Before we get into the Kellen Moore, because I want to discuss Dallas and the Chargers with their switching off of offensive coordinators, or Eric Bieniemy, I do want to bring up the Ravens hiring Todd Monken, who was the offensive coordinator at Georgia, and had also been in the NFL at Tampa. Pretty famously, Jameis Winston's 30 touchdown, 30 interception year, which will likely never be defeated because very few teams are going to let their quarterback go out there and throw 30 interceptions in a season.
Yeah.
From a fantasy point of view, he was wonderful to have on your team because they're going to keep throwing it and he's going to keep giving it away, so he's going to get more and more chances for touchdowns. But he went to Georgia. They won a couple national championships in a row. The Ravens want to update their offense from run, play action turns into a run, pass, run, play action turns into a run kind of offense.
With the new rules, they have to.
Yeah.
It's like, shit.
But last year, apparently, I was listening to a show earlier this week, and it was somewhere around 10% of their plays were running 3 wide receiver last year. And they used that. They were out there with 2 tight end sets that much for running the ball. In the preseason thus far, over 80% of their plays have been 3 wideouts. So this should be very interesting to watch Lamar in an offense like this where he's actually able to throw the ball a bit.
Yeah.
That's when you have a run threat quarterback of his caliber and you build all your plays around his ability to run, you're missing the point.
Yes.
That's, that's one of the weapons, not the only one.
And he still has the right arm that can very easily throw the ball a ways down the field.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No. So I think that's one of the more interesting ones, I think. Just the sheer change in the offense that we'll see, especially in that division where it is, the defenses go heavy all the time in that division. Even the Browns have a good defense.
Yeah.
And you're going to have an offense that can keep up. Because the Bengals are not going to slow down scoring points. If Deshaun Watson comes back to form, watch out for the Browns offense. The Steelers, I mean, you're hoping Kenny Pickett can get up to league averages. If you can, that offense takes a huge jump in the
Yeah.
amount of points it
I
scores
think
from last
so.
year.
Yeah, I mean, last year was a good growing year for Pickett's and Pickett. So
The,
yeah.
the Steelers were 9-8 last year.
Yeah,
They
with a
all-
not very good offense. So you
Yeah.
give them a middle of the road offense. Yes, there's a
Right.
reason why
They were-
Baltimore's like, we need to upgrade.
Yep,
They were
yep,
number 8.
Yep.
They tied with the Dolphins for on a record for getting in that wild card spot. Don't sleep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, with an offense that will be better this year. So I thought it was a good move on the Ravens' part to give a modern feel to their offense.
What do you think about your old buddy Matt Nagy?
With the Chiefs,
Uh-huh.
gross. Nah,
I mean,
in all
there's
honesty,
infinity. What are you
suck
gonna
it,
do?
Chiefs.
But-
he's not going to be calling the plays anyway.
Oh, okay.
It's still going to be Andy Reid calling those plays.
Does that discount? Well, we're talking about Bieniemy. Does that discount him?
I don't think it discounts anyone. I think being around Andy Reid and learning how to do that is beneficial to anyone. The problem Matt Nagy had in Chicago, in my opinion, is that he thought he was the smartest man in the NFL. Trick plays and all kinds of stuff. When you're like, why are we not just running the ball in the first? Oh, it's 2nd and 3. Why are you running a gadget play right
Yeah.
now?
Matt, that was Chip Kelly on the Eagles a decade ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
it absolutely was, and there's a reason he's not an
When those
offensive
plays
coordinator in
worked,
the
it was
league
fun to
anymore.
watch.
Yeah,
But
but the offense would get off the field so fast every time.
Yeah, and so the defense was right back out there,
Yeah.
exhausted.
yeah, they wouldn't even take their fucking helmets off. They're
No.
like, we're going right back out.
But Matt Nagy helped to mold Mahomes in his first season before he left. So,
Yeah.
there's a very good chance this is beneficial for the Chiefs. But I'm just very happy he's not our head coach anymore. Other than that, let's see. Arizona got Drew Petzing. Who cares? Their team's going to suck anyway. The Rams, Mike LaFleur, Packers' younger brother. I thought that was interesting. But Sean McVay calls all those plays also.
Right,
so
right.
it's going to be more about learning how to be an offensive coordinator. The Pats, though, Bill O'Brien coming in to replace Matt Patricia and Joe Judge.
Yeah.
Neither of whom had ever been an offensive coordinator before, so that was a really weird pick
Yeah,
they made last
yeah.
year. And there was a game where Mac Jones was screaming into the telephone, "Let me throw the ball down the field."
And it coming from Bama, right?
Yes.
Like, that is a pass-happy
Yeah.
fucking school, so...
I think, as bad as Bill O'Brien was at being a head coach and general manager for the Texans, he has coached the Patriots to a Super Bowl before. They didn't win it as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I think this is a big step in the right direction for Mac Jones, because why they gave a second-year quarterback, still learning how to be a professional, a defensive coordinator and a special teams coach to be his offensive coordinator
Yeah.
last year. I have no idea what Bill Belichick was thinking.
Well, and you got an Alabama quarterback and an Alabama offensive coordinator.
See some 80-yard bombs.
I think it could work out quite well. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about Eric Bieniemy, because the Dallas and Chargers one can just kind of go together hand in hand. He did not call the plays in KC, but he helped develop weekly game plans, coached up Mahomes, and also is a fiery competitor. There's already been players in Washington complaining he's a little too hard on him, but his thing apparently is get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yep. And they've got a new quarterback, Howell, that they need to find a quarterback that's actually going to be with them for a little bit.
That's consistent.
Is
Yeah.
he a franchise quarterback? Maybe not, but you need him to be better than they've had in a
Yeah,
while.
yes.
So you need someone with that fire behind them, and someone who's been a champion in that champion mindset for years. So to bring that to the organization, I find it terrifying as a Giants fan. But as a football fan, that's what you fucking need. An organization that's gone through so much turmoil over the past
From top to bottom.
right,
Yeah,
right.
on and
We're
off
not
the
even just
field.
talking the football
Right.
aspect. Not even talking about the coach. We're talking owners,
Right. Yeah.
managers.
Yeah. So Ron Rivera, I'm sure this is exactly what he's looking for. Someone who's like, Ron Rivera's a great coach. Someone with fire, someone with intensity, and a proven winner.
Yeah.
I think it's scary for NFC East for sure.
I agree. If you can get Sam Howell to play, they have Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, and Terry McLaurin.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Scary
they have
Terry.
some wideouts that can flat out play.
Yeah.
Their running back room, Brian Robinson. We'll see how he is after a full preseason of not getting shot.
Yeah.
Well, when he came back, he was doing a great job.
Yeah.
still can't believe
Maybe he
it.
learned a lesson, you know?
Yeah, don't walk to your car at 6 p.m. on a Sunday night, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what lesson is in there, but there must be one.
Let him fucking take it. Like, nothing is worth your life. And, like, that bullet could have been, a half an inch,
Oh,
a
did he hit the
centimeter, and
femoral?
career over,
Life over.
Or life over.
Absolutely. I do think that it's a fascinating one. There's quarterbacks that have just been like with no one to throw the ball to. Like Justin Fields, supposed to be looking at that team like the last 2 years, be like, those guys get those dudes to throw to.
Can I have just one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's kind of scary to me, but yeah, I think that he can do some really good things in KC.
Yeah.
They're going to be running. One has to assume a very Andy Reid style of offense. There's going to be a lot of screens. There's going to be a lot of chances for yards after the catch with the scheming that they do. So it should be a lot of fun to watch.
I think it would be remiss if we didn't bring up the Colts' new one.
If for no other reason, just say his name. Old Jim Bob Cooter.
You want to say his name?
Come on, man.
Jim Bob Cooter.
There you
Jim
go.
Bob Cooter.
Oh, yeah. He was on his tractor in Texas when he got the call. Yeah.
100% he had,
Yeah.
a wheat stalk sticking out of his mouth, Calling you up to the big leagues, Jim
Yeah.
Bob.
Yep.
Stalk of weed, drinking a
Yeah.
PBR, and
Yeah.
spitting all at the same time.
Old Coots. Old Coots.
Yeah, it goes from being the Jaguars passing game coordinator, working with Doug Peterson there,
Yeah.
and with Trevor Lawrence. Now he gets a chance along with Shane Steichen. I don't know if he'll be calling plays. Will Shane Steichen be calling the plays? Like, I don't know.
I mean, probably at first. But, if they stick with the quarterback for more than a season.
Well, it's Anthony Richardson. He was the 4th overall pick.
But we'll see.
I would say that gets you 2 seasons. We'll see.
I mean, Trey Lance is on, season 4?
Oh, wow, that's a great
Still can't
comment.
fucking start.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
How many games has he played? How many games has he started?
3,
3.
4.
Yeah.
Fucking
One of them in a
ridiculous.
monsoon.
Yeah. Lost to the Bears.
I know. That must suck. Shit. Dallas. They bring in Brian Schottenheimer, who will be offensive coordinator, but Mike McCarthy's going to be calling the plays as head coach. McCarthy has had top 5 finishes when he was in Green Bay,
Yeah.
but he also had 19th, 23rd, 25th. Schottenheimer got as high as 11th in his stints as offensive coordinator for total offense, but a lot of 25th, 26th, 20th, 25th, 23rd, 20th, 28th, 19th, 17th, 19th.
Yep.
Like, Mike McCarthy came out and said something that they want to run the ball more because their offense scored too much and it tired their defense out. And I don't really understand that. I mean, I guess in some ways, like once you have a lead, you want to be able to run the ball, control the clock. But they did run the ball a lot. I watched those games last year.
And they had 2 good running backs.
Yeah. And they want to run the ball a lot with Tony Pollard as their main guy. If he's over 200, he's at like 202.
Yeah.
None of the running backs on their roster are built to carry a heavy load.
And if you want to stretch out the game, you need that big ground and pound guy that just gets just enough to get a first down every 5 minutes,
And like they drafted Deuce Vaughn, who I'm not trying to take anything away from the man as a player. But watching the practice videos of that 5'5" guy running through the offensive line, it looks like a joke.
It's funny, but he does it well.
He disappears behind those offensive linemen, though. So that listen,
He just
I'm
pops back
sure
up,
he can
yeah.
do some good stuff, but it just feels really weird for them to be like, no, we're going to run the ball a lot with a 5'5", 170-pounder and Tony Pollard, who has never carried the ball, and by the way, isn't the youngest running back in the league either. He just got franchise tag because his 4-year rookie contract ended up.
Yeah, it wasn't strategic. It was a fuck you move. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess I'm just a little confused because their offense last year was 5th in points and 8th in yards. And they had a top defense. So Kellen Moore is the reason why you didn't... I mean, granted, if he drew up that last play against the 49ers where Zeke, for some reason,
Which
snapped the
that
ball...
alone would get you fired. Yes.
Yeah. If that's your annexation of Puerto Rico that you have in the back pocket...
Fubaruski.
Yeah. That is a little weird, but yeah. So I'm a little surprised still that McCarthy thought that Kellen Moore was the way. Now, maybe this was
I think
an
McCarthy's
amicable
the
thing.
problem.
Maybe Kellen Moore said, listen, I think we've reached what we can here, and I'd like to go also. So maybe it was a mutual parting of the ways.
Yeah, it happens, yeah.
Absolutely. And he's a professional, so if he says that, all right, well,
Yeah.
Mike wants to call the plays anyway, so I'll tell you this. The
He might have just been
Chargers,
sick of working for the owner.
maybe. The Chargers are getting a hell of an offensive coordinator who his first year was in 2019. They were 6th in points, 2nd in yards. 2020 dropped to 25th in points and 21st in yards. But Dak got injured in week 6 that year and
Yeah.
was out for the season. So that's not that bad.
Yeah.
2021, 2nd in points, 4th in yards. 2022, 5th in points, 8th in yards. This is a really good offensive
Yeah.
coordinator that likes to get the ball down the field.
I mean, he made the Nukes look like a decent quarterback.
He
That
did,
is
you know?
that is perfect.
For Justin Herbert, Keenan
Absolutely.
Allen, Mike
Yeah.
Williams, they just
Absolutely.
drafted
Yep.
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah.
And they've got a great receiving back in Austin Eckler. This could be a fun offense to watch.
Yep.
If that offensive line can stay healthy. Because, oh my God, did they have a lot of
yeah.
injuries last
Yeah.
year. But I think in this, the Chargers came out on top in this
I
little
think so too. Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's better for Kellen Moore anyway. So,
Yes.
get out of Dallas, try something new, different team that has good young talent. Fuck yeah.
And not owned by an absolute sea hag.
Yes.
Although, wait, no, he's still a part of the organization. He's playing in SoFi. That is owned
son
by
of a
Jerry
bitch.
Jones.
You
It's
can
owned
never
by Jerry
escape his
Jones.
clutches. I
He's
forgot.
got tendrils everywhere.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if I'd ever trust Jerry Jones. But that man knows business.
Yeah.
Holy shit. They want to build a new stadium. I'll get in on that and make some money off
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Don't blame him a bit. Holy shit. As far as offensive coordinators that didn't leave, the
Pretty
Bears.
short list.
I know. I just wrote down a few that I found interesting. Now, granted, as a Bears fan, I'm glad Luke Getsy stayed because I wanted Justin Fields to have 2 years in the same
Yeah.
offensive system. And we didn't do a whole lot throwing the ball last year, so it'd be nice to see if we can actually get that turned around. But Mike Kafka for the Giants, who had been on a few people's shortlists that were put out for going to head coaching jobs, worked wonders last year with Daniel Jones,
Yeah.
a healthy Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also you're a part of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Giants are Super Bowl bound, but there's this turnaround, and you're a
Yeah.
part of the turnaround, and that's even one more year. That's really good
Mm-hmm.
for your resume. And I think working with Brian Daboll is probably a fucking treat, because he's really showing what he can do, and so learning from him has got to where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Well, as the resident Bills fan,
Yeah.
the Dayball loss must have.
I think we talked about it last week, but if we didn't, I know we talked about it on shows past. That loss sucked. He completely just sent Josh Allen on a rocket trajectory. And I told Scott when they hired him, I was like, "You guys are lucky."
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I also put down Ben Johnson of the Lions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That offense had moments where it wasn't so. The road games for Jared Goff were not pretty, but he had a lot of games at home where that offense was clicking. And when he actually had 2 healthy running backs before DeAndre
Yeah.
Swift got hurt, that offense was really clicking.
Yeah.
And I can say the exact same thing. You're building something.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it feels good to be a part of building that. And that looks good for your resume. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they're a key part of making the team feel like a fucking team. There's a lot of NFL teams that I'm sure the locker room doesn't feel like that.
right,
you know?
right. Oh, you had one good year, did you? Oh, you're going to leave? What does that look like for
Yeah.
a given? I know that's the game in coaching, in general. You jump around, but there's something about a little bit of loyalty.
Yep. I mean, you need it. At least,
Yeah.
some level
Yeah.
of it.
Absolutely.
You win a Super Bowl and then you bounce somewhere else to get a head coaching job. Can't blame you. Sorry you left Philly. Well, sorry, they didn't win a Super Bowl. They made it to the Super Bowl, whatever. But yeah.
Ken Dorsey with the Bills is another one I mentioned. Now, it was a little bit of an off year for the Bills after losing Brian Daboll, but Ken Dorsey still put together a good offense. Biggest question there is, can you get a second wide receiver to step up to help Diggs a little bit?
Yeah.
Someone's got to step up. Yeah.
Yes, they got Kincaid, the
so
rookie
they
tight end.
just drafted a tight end.
Yeah.
Dawson Knox is no one to sneeze at. He's not like an All-Pro, so we'll see.
And then Press Taylor for the Jags, which I just think.
Yeah.
I mean, Doug Peterson's calling those plays, but I think it's good to have a steady hand there to help out Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence in a young quarterback's position.
Yeah, agreed.
New defensive coordinators. So we'll kind of go over a couple here. Vic Fangio to the Dolphins, I think, is huge.
I think so. I agree.
He's a long-time defensive coordinator in the league. This is his sixth time as a coordinator. All of his
much
teams
better
are
coordinator
great.
than
He's
coach.
fantastic at scheme. Yeah, as a head coach, yes, absolutely. Great at scheming for his offense or his defense to play well. Once they get Jalen Ramsey back, being healthy, I think he's going to be a fucking screaming deal for them on that side of the ball. 49ers Steve Wilkes. He was, if you don't know the name, he was the Panthers' interim head coach last year after they fired Matt Rule. He had that team playing.
He did.
Hard.
He did. Yeah.
I really thought he did a great job. I kind of thought he got shafted.
Fucking
Yeah.
49ers, rich get richer out there. I tell you,
Yes.
they're stacked in so many ways.
I know. It's
Well, except for healthy quarterbacks.
yes.
Yeah, they literally have everything.
Quarterback talent, yes. Healthy quarterbacks.
No.
Yeah. The Eagles signed Sean Desai of the. He'd been with the Bears defensive coordinator in 2021. He'd been moving up the ranks. He was different. I believe he was linebackers coach for the Bears for a while. Was an assistant head coach in Seattle last year. Gets another chance as a coordinator. Kind of like the rich get richer. Jalen Carter, Harrison, I believe his name was the second pick that they took in out of Georgia in the first round. A edge rusher. They just restocked the defense for him with the losses from free agency, and
They have a really good corner too. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. So he's stepping into a position where there's just so much talent. It's going to be really hard for him to fail. And
Yeah,
if
but
he
if
does,
he
it's going to
does,
be bad.
that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah. The one that I think is most interesting, though,
I think I know what you're
is
going to
the
say.
Minnesota one.
Yeah.
which I hate. It's going to be more than 1 year because there's not a lot of talent on that side of the ball. But Brian Flores got signed with the Dolphins, took them from being dead last 1 year to fourth the next year, and then had some injuries the next year and went to 15th. And then he got fired in that hole. They
Yeah.
were trying to pay me to lose games.
Yeah.
Tom Brady gate.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to see him get another DC job, but
Yeah.
he got fucked hardcore.
Yeah. So, but yeah, seeing him, I mean, like, he got scooped up by Pittsburgh, right?
Yep, he was
Yeah.
defensive assistant of
Right.
some
Yeah,
sort.
right.
yeah.
So, you're back there getting the money that he deserves
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, that,
And-
like, you know, oh, we can't make you our DC, but
Yeah.
we can give you a paycheck and you help
Right.
us out a little bit,
Right.
you know?
And Minnesota. Oh, yeah. What a steal for Pittsburgh. Minnesota needs his help.
yeah.
Yes, because that team on the season, they were 13-4 last year, outscored on the season.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, they need defensive help. They have everything you need on offense. They have got to get that defense
Yeah.
shored up. So that to me is a more interesting one. Of the ones that stayed and didn't join new teams, I've only got two I wrote down because they're pretty big ones. Dan Quinn stuck with the Cowboys again. This is the third straight offseason where he had a lot of interviews for
Yeah.
head coaching jobs. Chose to stick around, and I don't really blame him. There's a lot of talent on that side of the ball for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's got to be a fun, coordinating job. And then Steve Spagnuolo for the Chiefs. I think he was a head coach for the Giants once.
Sounds right.
At one point, yeah.
That's
Maybe.
all I really know about him as far as his head
I think
coaching
the Rams
goes.
too.
Was he with the Rams too?
I think
That rings a bell, though. It does, yeah.
But a really good defensive coordinator and a really solid one for the Chiefs to have because you know a lot of the money's going to be spent on offense, so you've got to be able to get that team to buy into the schemes and everything else
Yeah.
you're doing. Which takes us into the next situation that I'd like to talk about. Camp holdouts.
Hey.
Three big ones I want to discuss. Number one, since we're talking about Steve Spagnuolo, Chris Jones, he went back with the Chiefs. 29 years old. He's going into the last year of his contract, which he signed for 4 years, $80 million. He's going to make $19.5 million this year. Based on what other D-line contracts have come up, he's looking to try to get like a 4-year, $87 million style contract. Woof, that's a lot of money, but this is a great defensive player.
I believe that he and many other defensive linemen are worth that kind of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine having this conversation 20 years ago and saying, defensive tackles are paid more than running backs.
Oh,
They'd be like, you're not from the future. You're just
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
four
you know?
times the amount as running backs, you know? Yeah, right.
Oh.
I can appreciate his holdout, but I think he is worth it.
And they're going to pay him. So, yeah.
Right.
He will get paid. They
Yeah.
just got to figure out how to make it work
Yep.
in the
Yeah,
books.
right.
Well, it's tougher
Absolutely.
for defensive players, like unless you're a corner or something, like how do you get bonuses? You can't have a bonus structured contract based just
Sacks. tackles.
But like, there's
tackles
only
for loss.
so many
That's
of
about
those.
it, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, it's not really fair. Like, well, I helped in this tackle, but it didn't get listed in my stat
And that's
sheet
the
that way.
to me
you
that's
know?
what's scary about incentives for on the defensive side, because if you're doing that for the detriment of the team but for the benefit of yourself,
Yeah.
Wide receiver, you like if you're making those catches, you're getting those touchdowns, you're putting the yards on that's beneficial for the team. Defense is a single unit, you've got to run your scheme,
I'm sorry. I just started thinking you say wide receivers. It's like it's a good thing Tyler Lockett doesn't have yards after catch written into his.
Oh.
No.
Who has that, man? He's not a big dude, but he catches the ball and right down, gives himself up immediately.
We might see some of
Sorry,
those in the
that
future.
just completely
though.
popped into my head. I couldn't get rid of the
yeah.
image.
So
Yeah, I got the ball.
I'm dead. I'm live again.
I can see incentives being a problem there, because you can be selfish and it can hurt the team.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Absolutely. And we'll go right into the very next one, because you just said, defensive tackles get paid more than running backs. Josh Jacobs is still holding out. He does not want the franchise tag. He wants a long-term contract. And this is, just as we discussed last week, part of a bigger issue of running backs are not getting paid. They're being looked at as more of a platoon, which is really funny considering they gave this guy 340 carries last year.
He got
20 a game.
He got something like 1,300 yards, right? He's able to do it. He's able to carry that load. And when it comes to the quarterback they just brought in, you need a fucking running back who can do that.
Yeah, Janine Garofalo signed for 3 years, $90 million or something.
Yeah.
I think we said last week. And now you're like, Josh, we'll give you 10,
Like,
or you can walk.
yep.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what the hell, man?
They need him so badly.
Because he's not just a good runner; he's an excellent pass catcher too. Like it's the same fucking thing as Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just still, it's mind-boggling to me that this is an issue.
Jimmy Garoppolo needs help.
Yes, he cannot carry your team.
No, and you're not going to pay the guy who's integral to that. It is crazy to me.
Yes.
Also, I'm all behind the running backs fighting for the better salary. So hopefully they pay him, and it's fucking collusion. I don't want to get in that soapbox
Yeah,
again.
he sent out a tweet and he said sometimes things are more than just about you.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
he knows it's a bigger situation.
We are
and-
Team Josh Jacobs for
Yes.
sure.
Then finally, Nick Bosa, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, wants a new contract, and he wants something like Aaron Donald got, which is somewhere around 3 years, almost $100 million. I would like to say that's absolutely ridiculous, but I saw how much he wrecked other teams' attempts to go against the 49ers last year. Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to pay that man.
Yeah, he's worth it.
He is, and especially because you can't even say that they're not paying the running back. Like they're one of the few teams that are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, McCaffrey's making what?
Yeah.
I mean, the average is I know it's a
But
little
over
less than
10 though,
13.
yeah.
His average is 16. I mean,
Yeah.
he's down to 12 this year on the contract. But yeah.
Still more than most other running backs in
Yep.
the league. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so these teams need to solve this. Now, granted, I'm wondering a little bit with Nick Bosa and Chris Jones. Like, yeah, we're going to push right now because we want a new contract. And I really don't want to go through another training camp this year because I'm getting a little older.
Could be. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Sure.
Since we're talking about the 49ers, before we get into our next little section of who we think might be the three teams in the playoffs this year and who might be the three teams out, Trey Lance. Since we're talking about the 49ers and how they need healthy quarterbacks. So, heading into the 2021 draft, they traded the number 12 overall pick, a 2022 first-round pick, a 2023 first-round pick, and a 2022 third-round pick for the third overall pick in 2021. They selected Trey Lance. The Dolphins traded every one of these picks. They traded the initial number 12 overall. They used it in a package trade up to draft. Jalen Waddle, wide receiver. They then sent the 2022 first-round pick to the Chiefs for Tyreek Hill. They then sent the 2023 pick to the Broncos last season for Bradley Chubb. So the entirety of what makes your offense
Like,
run
holy
and
shit.
a pass rusher for everything the 49ers gave
All
you.
for Trey Lance.
For Trey Lance, who has started Hold on, I'm gonna have to look it up because now I feel kind of bad
Jesus.
But
here.
while you're looking that up, we can all agree that Trey Lance is the best player for the Miami Dolphins. Gee, I mean, come on.
Right?
I never even thought about that spider web of what happened after the fact.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, like, yeah, it's true. Like, San Francisco got super lucky with Brock Purdy.
Oh yeah. Well, and Garoppolo, you know.
Well, yeah, but you know, like, because they literally got a guy for practically free, you know, last spot in the draft. But that being said, hey, drafts, you still
Hey.
want every bit of one of
Yep.
those picks. But he turned out to be way better than
Oh, yeah.
expected. Where Trey Lance is just falling apart on him, it seems like. So they're lucky in that aspect. But when you look at what
I mean, if it was-
Miami got from
if they
that,
only got Waddle, that still would have been worth it.
right,
You know.
right, absolutely.
Jesus.
That is absolutely insane.
All right, including his founding at North Dakota State, which I believe he sat out for COVID. And in the last 3 years, he started 5 football games.
So when I said 8, I was overshooting.
Yes. Now,
That's so fucked up.
just for a little bit of fun, players they could have drafted if they'd held on to the third pick.
Oh, like just
Or
with that
if they
pitch?
if they hadn't drafted him, this is just third pick. If they just hadn't drafted him, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, if you want a quarterback, or Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase,
Oh,
Waddle,
yeah.
Penei Sewell, offensive tackle for the Lions, who was badass, Devonta Smith, or hey, you want someone across the across on the other side of the defense from Bosa? How about Micah Parsons?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, by the way, if they just stayed at number 12 and not traded up at all, still could have gotten Micah Parsons.
Could you imagine how
Oh,
good the
man.
defense would be with Micah Parsons and
Now,
Bosa?
granted, this is one of
And
those things.
Fred
That,
Warner.
They wouldn't
Yeah.
have to. The offense only needs 7 points a game to win.
so,
Oh man, they
and I
like
get
the
it.
Ravens.
The NFL
back
draft
in
is
the
a
day.
crapshoot. It's an absolute crapshoot. I mean, right now, 40% of those quarterbacks are going into the season looking like of the 5 that were taken in that
Yeah.
first round, looking like they could be moving forward. Trevor Lawrence is looking like he is the real deal.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Justin Fields needs to take a step up as a passer, but as far as being an athlete and being able to positively impact the game,
Well,
he has.
he
that.
actually has some players this year, so we'll
Yes,
see.
We'll
Yeah.
see this year.
The Bears organization, the Bears team in general, has to step up. Because when you, late in the season, when you started to see what he was capable of doing,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
They
it
needed,
was
they,
looking
and
way
they
better.
knew they needed to get pieces
Yeah.
around him. They worked on that this offseason. Mac Jones, behind that offensive line and with that running game, I bet he would have looked fucking good.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, and also, the Trey Lance only started 1 year at North Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
1 year.
Yep.
Mind blowing.
In like the Mountain West.
And also, he didn't play at a school that's as good as North Dakota
not
State.
even-
Yeah.
not even-
South Dakota State.
Was it
Oh,
South
was it
Dakota
South
State?
Dakota State?
Yeah,
Oh, shit, I'm
North
sorry.
Dakota State.
Wouldn't even
with
know.
Michigan,
It wasn't even
South
Mountain
Dakota
West.
State, yeah.
Division 2.
Division
Yeah.
2.
Or no, Division 1 AA, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
like
Oh,
North
yeah,
Dakota
yeah,
State
yeah,
would
yeah.
dunk on South Dakota State.
Yeah.
Just put that in perspective of where he played and
Yep.
the
And
talent.
some scout got paid a lot of money to say this is the guy,
Yep.
and maybe he is.
And by the way-
he still hasn't really had a shot. So
How
maybe
lucky
he
are they
is,
that they have
but-
built such a good team? Because if not, that trade would have been the automatic death knell for that guy, for that GM.
Oh God. Yep.
For
Yep.
any other franchise.
That would have been a decade-long mistake to come
Yes.
out
Yep.
of. Yeah.
yeah.
That's like that Kevin Costner movie Draft Day, where he makes all these fucking insane trades right before, like,
Yeah.
that shit
You mean
doesn't happen in real life.
utter
Well, I guess
bullshit?
it does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Kind of like Boondock Saints. This shit doesn't happen in real life. Professionals don't do this. So yeah, I saw that this week and I was like, that can't be real. So I started digging into it. Yeah. The
Oh,
Dolphins
man.
became a playoff team but with one trade. That they didn't actually draft anyone staying in the spots that what those draft picks had. They
Yep.
traded them all away. They did draft Jalen Waddle, don't get me wrong. But you trade up for Jalen Waddle, you trade for Tyreek Hill, like
Yeah.
you have just created yourself a passing offense.
You can pick up a running back.
Off the street, too. They picked up the guys the 49ers cut.
Oh man.
Unbelievable to me. Absolutely amazing. I think that's...
Hey, Walton family, that's how you make a good trade.
Yeah. Oh, no.
You don't trade away
No,
the
no.
next 6 years of your future.
We saw, it's the exact same thing. You're just on the 49ers,
on the 49ers side. Yeah,
the
yeah.
Seahawks
Seahawks.
are on the
Ooh, yeah.
Dolphins side. But they're actually drafting really well.
Oh, yeah.
They knocked that last draft out of the park.
Yeah.
Well, and almost all the picks that they got that were Denver picks
Anyway, next, moving on.
are badasses.
No.
The 5th round pick. Oh, that's Tariq Woolen. He was
Yeah.
almost defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh. But that's how it goes. You know, some teams are the Cowboys getting all the picks, and some teams are the Vikings getting Herschel Walker.
Yep.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
All right, so for the last little segment today, we're going to do 3 new teams that did not make the playoffs last year that we believe will this year, and 3 teams that made the playoffs last year that we think are out. Scott, Brian, Eric, would one of y'all like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. We're starting with teams that didn't make it.
The
No, teams that
3
made it
new
last year.
teams in.
Okay.
This,
Oh, 3 new teams in. Okay.
yes, to
3 new-
start.
To start, got
Okay.
it.
3 new teams in.
Yes.
So, crazy enough, I literally have no changes to my prediction out of the AFC. I think the AFC stays exactly where they were last year.
Wow.
Yep.
I think it's a murderer's row of quarterbacks.
I
I think
It's
you're
right.
almost correct.
So
I have one.
So right.
One
I have
change.
one as
So
well.
right, because I think the Bills and the Dolphins. So Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, Jags, in terms of winning the division.
Sure.
Yep.
And then I think the Ravens can keep it alive. I think the Dolphins are still, even though the Jets are there's a lot of hope there. I think the Dolphins, that all depends on concussion protocols, but and I think the
Weekend at
Chargers can they can make another step forward. So I'm not touching the AFC. So everything I've got is the NFC.
Wow.
I think the Lions actually take the North, and then the Vikings also make it in.
You think the Lions take the North? though?
I'm with Scott on this one.
I
Really?
think the Lions
Yeah.
take the North. So here's where I'm a little bit stuck. I'm going to go my safe route because the one team that I've been waffling on is the Rams, who won 5 games last year, but the pieces are all there. The pieces are all there,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to say that the Panthers and the Saints.
The Saints.
The Saints.
I thought about that one.
Yep. So, all NFC shakeups this year, and the AFC stays the same.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sorry, Brian. Who you got?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go.
All right,
So
Eric.
my team's in. I have the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is going to do Aaron Rodgers things. We kind of alluded to it, but I think he actually really does have great chemistry with the OC. I think
Jets were 7-10 last year.
this is my time.
Right?
to
No.
shine.
I'm saying like an extra,
They weren't bad.
right? An
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
2 wins gets them. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think they're going to
Yeah.
get in.
Yeah. And do you think Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, as opposed to last season, is that
Yeah.
worth 2 more wins?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would
Definitely better
venture
than
that
Pats,
he's worth 2 more
you know?
wins.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, I'm with Scott on this. I think the Lions are going to win the NFC North. I just think they're a good team. I think they're very well coached. I think Goff is going to do enough to get you in. I just like them. And then the last one is the Steelers. I think Matt's probably going to pick them as well. Maybe not, but yeah, I like the Steelers as well.
I like your pick with the Steelers for sure.
I also went with the Steelers. I also went with the Lions. I don't think they're going to win the division, but I think the Lions will make it in. And until recent injury news today, I thought the Panthers. I still think they can do it. I think the Panthers can make it in this year.
It's
It's
also
not the strongest division.
It's
No.
right.
And that's
It very
the thing.
well might be the weakest division in football.
yeah. I'm not saying they're going to go far, but I think they'll make the playoffs. Yeah.
And both South divisions are trash.
Yes.
So
Yes, the biggest difference being that the Jags exist in one of them.
yeah,
And they have a
Right.
strong team.
yeah.
For me, I also have the Lions making it. I think that they will likely win the NFC North, and I think they will win. in
Why
the
does
end.
everybody hate Kirk Cousins and the Vikings?
It's not Kirk Cousins I hate. I'll get into that in a few minutes. I also think the Saints will win the South.
Really?
I think Carr at quarterback, Olave at wide receiver, and the running backs, Jamal Williams.
Right.
I think Alvin Kamara can have a comeback here a bit.
Yeah, he's
I
due,
think
yeah.
with any good quarterbacking, which would be hard pressed, was Andy Dalton and Andy Dalton for most of the season, and Jameis
just
Winston for like
Winston,
2
yeah.
weeks last year. Carr is heads and tails a better quarterback than
Yeah.
those two. And I think having him there gets that offense going better. I think Chris Olave in his second year is going to explode.
With a veteran QB like Carr.
Yes.
Oh
Chris
yeah.
Olave,
Yeah.
who was also just behind on winning Offensive Rookie of the
Yes.
Year.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. And
And
by
like-
the way, those wide receivers were 1-2 for Offensive Rookie of the Year. One had Zach Wilson. The other one had Andy Dalton.
Right.
They were still putting up
they were that
great
good?
numbers.
Yeah.
This year they get legitimate quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna
Fascinating.
be fun to watch.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we were talking earlier about the Jets building that culture around Aaron Rodgers. I think the Saints are kind of doing the same thing with Carr.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're 2 years out of Sean Payton. We still don't really have a quarterback. Fuck, now we do.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're
like
just
they
now
seem
getting
to
out of salary cap hell.
I
too.
know. Yeah. But like they seem like they're building the right culture again. They're trying to shake off the bad shit and
Yep. Yep.
be a real team. You know.
Yes. It's not easy when you lose a Hall of Fame quarterback. Not every team is going to have, like, the 49ers, Joe Montana, Steve Young, or the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking
It's pretty
happen.
rare.
That's why you
Yeah.
can name 2 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can't name any other ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bills. Jim Kelly, Doug Flutie.
There was some like yeah.
But
sure,
but like
But yeah, to lose your starting QB and
The
then
problem there
someone-
is, I agree with you that Doug Flutie is good. The problem with your argument there is that once they made the playoffs, they benched Doug Flutie and put
Rob Hall.
Rob
Johnson.
Rob Johnson.
Yeah.
Rob, I like my headband Johnson.
But they'll all admit to this day that was a big fucking
Yeah.
mistake.
Absolutely it was. I'd
At
allowed
least
the
they
Music
owned
City
up to
Miracle
it,
to happen. And then I think the Jets. I think the Steelers will probably
Really?
have a just above 500 record again, but I think that AFC North is so tough. And I think the Jets have done enough to take a step forward
Yeah.
and make the playoffs.
Do you
So
think
unfortunately, that means I think that 3 teams from the AFC East are going to make it.
that's what I was going to ask?
Yeah.
Do you think they got
Yes.
3 teams? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, the weakness of the AFC South allows for that. So, I don't know. We'll find out. Absolutely. 3 teams that made it last year that ain't going to be this year.
Yeah. So, the easy one for me, I think, is the Bucks.
Yep.
Yep. Is that on everybody's list?
That's 4 before.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Let's just get all of our thoughts
Yeah,
on the
that was
Bucks
like
out right
as
now.
soon
there.
as you put that in, I was like 1A. Done.
I mean, we already had discussions about both the Panthers and the Saints. You know, but they won the South 8-9 record last year. You know, it's
Garbage.
Okay,
Um,
I want to say something
but
real fast.
someone has to win the division. You
I
know.
want to say one thing real fast also. That team, in general, has talent.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are defensive players that are legitimate. You have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin. They are good. But even a 59-year-old Brady would be better than the 2 quarterbacks that are
Yes.
competing for starting this year. Kyle Trask
And they're
And
not
the
gonna
best
have.
actor in football.
and the
They're not gonna have a true starting quarterback all season. I don't
No,
think.
no.
I think it's gonna every couple of games gonna flip flop. You know.
yeah, this is gonna be that one of those years where Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are like, holy fuck, would you just bring Jameis back?
What Mike Evans might not get his 1,000 yards this year,
Which is fucking scary.
which is unfortunate.
He would either tie or break Jerry Rice's record for consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
They just need a quarterback.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do. But I still say the running game, I don't know about Rashad White. I don't know how good he actually is. Their offensive line was in shambles last year. They're moving Tristan Wilf from right tackle to left tackle this year. But they're also getting the center that they lost during training camp last year for the season back this year. And they used a high draft pick on another offensive lineman. I do think that the fact that their quarterback is so weak is going to be what bites them completely in the ass.
And who knows? Maybe fucking Baker surprised the fuck out of everybody. You know.
If he could grab
I
some
mean,
of that
I
mojo
doubt
he
it, but
had.
you never know.
If he
You
could grab some
know.
of that mojo he had with the Rams last year.
Yep.
And perhaps take a step back from the cocky attitude he has had, or at least shown, this far through his career.
I think he grew that to survive in Cleveland. I think he kind of
No.
had to.
He
No,
had that before.
That goes back to
Yeah,
that goes
okay.
back to Oklahoma.
No.
Okay.
That goes back to
Back
Texas
high-
Tech,
Yeah. Yeah.
where he was not guaranteed the starter spot, and so decided to transfer
Fuck
to
it, I'll
Oklahoma.
transfer it, yep.
Which
yep.
wasn't a big deal, because a year later, he had Patrick Mahomes, so fuck you. And yeah, they beat us, but that's because the team was better, not because Baker was.
Yeah.
Still, I think the greatest college football game of all time.
One of them.
But I digress.
It didn't have implications.
It had no implications. This is the only reason it
Yeah.
shouldn't. It probably doesn't rank higher in most people's minds. But come on, the Baker Mayfield Patrick Mahomes game. If y'all have never heard of this, just look it up.
2,000 yards of passing.
Patrick
literally-
Mahomes had almost 1,000 yards of offense by himself.
It literally just-
well, I mean, he was throwing the ball, but
Yeah.
You knew it was going to come down to who had the ball last.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like 63 to 56.
Yeah.
It was an amazing game.
I mean, that's almost every good college football game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So my other team not making it in, and this is not a slight to Seattle.
Really?
It has to do with
I picked the Rams to step up, so
I
someone's got
and I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
take the Rams making the playoffs, but I think because they've got the 49ers twice, they got the Rams twice. They got 2 easy wins with the Cardinals, but I think it's going to be
everyone has an easy win against
right.
the
And I
Cardinals
think
this year.
that's the thing is like
Yeah.
they had a 9
I think they
wins,
already counted
right.
those as losses for the Cardinals for the season.
They had a 9-win season last year, and
Counted
I
all of them as
think
losses
getting
for the
9.
Cardinals.
I don't know. Like I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat 9 wins again. I think they're going to be fun to watch. But that being said, like the NFC just has enough good talent out there. We talk about the quarterback talent on the AFC, but the NFC is still plenty tough.
Yeah.
So because of that, and because I think the Rams are going to be taking a step up, and then you got to play the 49ers, and they're just obviously Purdy has to produce in his sophomore season.
You also need healthiness. Kittle is already injured with a core
right,
injury.
right?
Um,
But that so that's maybe a little bit outside my comfort zone taking Seattle, but I think they're at risk. And the one I say for last is the Giants.
Oh.
Oh.
It hurt me to do it, but the NFC East is got some good talent out there. They snuck in 9-7-1. The commies were 1 win away from
Yeah.
the Lions taking a step up. I think this year is so winning 9 games or losing 7 games. They had a tie in it, but so I'm concerned about the Giants. I want them to take a step up. It seems like they're moving that direction, but yeah.
See, my main reason for when I was looking at this for not picking the Giants wasn't about the other teams getting better, but more that I think they already have a left tackle who has taken significant strides and become a very good player. And I think Evan Neal at right tackle should make a similar jump. He was a fantastic offensive lineman in college.
Yep.
And if he can improve his pass blocking, you give Danny Dimes a little more time, that helps open up a lot of things. By the way, you pass the ball better, now Saquon's got better lanes
Yep.
to run the ball through also.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better, in my opinion, than to a pair of bookend tackles that can stop those pass rushers. Yes, the interior line is still an issue, but if you can play the Cowboys and not have to worry about Micah Parsons as much because of your
Yeah,
bookend tackles,
yeah. Right.
that'll really help you in that division.
But we're talking about
Also-
a 3-team, NFC East being a 3 playoff division.
Oh, to do that 2 years in a row would be rough.
To do
too.
that 2 years in a row, and I think the Commanders, have the potential to be disruptive all season. It's
Well, look, none of those 4 teams was below 500 last year.
right,
Yeah.
right. So that's why maybe it's even just the statistics of it. Like it just becomes a little bit scarier to get 10 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if the Cowboys don't do a 12-win, still it's going to be really competitive for that bottom spot.
Yep.
So
Sure.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off what Scott said. Unfortunately, Giants as well. I think Washington is going to catch the magic, and I think they're going to win some games they probably shouldn't.
Sure.
And I just think Giants are going to lose some games they probably should have won, and they're not going to get in. Bucks, there's nothing I can say that. Yeah, Bucks. And then actually the Dolphins.
Really?
Yeah, I just think Tua's going to be himself and not be able to stay healthy, and there's going to be some weird hiccups, and I can see them doing a few games worse than last year.
do you think that the Pats are going to be scarier this year in general, just with some of their offensive improvements?
Yes, I'm still going to be more worried about the Dolphins.
Sure.
But there is no team in that division as a Bills fan where I'm just like, we're going to win that game for sure. So, but I still think the Pats are going to come in last. But I think they're going to take a step up.
They were an 8-win
Yeah.
team last year.
Yeah, and I also think Bill O'Brien, if him and Mac Jones can get some kind of connection going, and Bill O'Brien, that's old stopping grounds, they might win a couple more games than they were going to, with a defensive coordinator calling play calls. So, yeah. So those are my picks.
It's almost like Bill Belichick was like, We won a lot.
Yeah.
This one's for all the rest of you assholes.
Charity work.
He doesn't strike me as a kind, giving humanitarian.
Maybe this was his part of his having sold his soul in some way to get all those
Oh, that's
championships.
true. Yeah, yeah.
There was a price to pay.
You got to pay the devil back. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Time to put your sleeves back on, bud.
The last thing I will say though is I do think the Giants are still like right where they should be, like building towards. We're going to be pretty good for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bucks again are going to make it. I said the Giants as well. I think, kind of like you said, I think Commanders are going to up their game.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think the Commanders will be good enough to fuck both them and the Giants out of a playoff wild card.
Exact thoughts. I should have said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exact thoughts.
And then I think the Ravens don't do it. Like, you know, they haven't been. They've been just barely good enough, you know, for a while, you know? And I don't see it, you know? I mean, I think the Steelers up their game a lot.
Right.
And Ravens bye, you know?
All right. So for me, I also obviously said Tampa Bay is out. I also said Baltimore. It's just the math of the AFC, and it's nothing that bad. It's just there's so many good quarterbacks. Yes, Lamar is excellent. Yes, he's a previous MVP. Well, the Jets now have a quarterback who has also been excellent and is also a previous MVP. It's just the math of the AFC with all these quarterbacks. And yes, there are surrounding teams with these guys. Don't get me wrong. It's not a one-person game. But I think the putting in this offense that runs so much three wide out, more of a spread offense, and the fact that I don't know if OBJ can stay healthy.
yeah.
Rashad Bateman is technically their second wide out. He hasn't stayed healthy either. Which brings us to Zay Flowers, who looks like an excellent
He does look
rookie
good.
wide receiver, but
Yeah.
he's a rookie. We don't know till he
Yeah.
actually steps on the field in a regular season game.
Yep.
We also don't know how well Todd Monken's offense is going to produce again. There is tape they can watch to see how he runs an offense on an NFL level. He's done it before. So, as much as I think it'd be exciting to watch, I think it takes a few games for the Ravens to actually get into the groove of that, and I think that it's going to be a little too late for them in that matter. Also, the Steelers being better, I think it's going to knock them down a couple on the win column, allowing the Jets to get in.
Yeah.
Of course, this means I think 3 teams from the AFC East. I think the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets make it. I know that that's a lot to predict from one.
Happened in the
That's
NFC last
plausible.
year. Why not?
Yep.
Yeah.
For my other team, I say the Vikings. And I say this because, yes,
Whoa.
they were 13-4 last year.
Yeah.
And I realize this is a risky pick. All right? And this is not
No,
against Kirk
I mean,
Cousins.
almost every
No.
year there's a massive downfall. Look at the Rams.
I think I know where you're going with it, and if
They
you're
were
going there, I like it.
11-0 in one-score games last year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That is impossible to fucking do again.
Yeah.
And when they played a serious team, a playoff team, I don't know, the Cowboys beat them 40-3.
Yeah.
The Giants handled them in the NFC wild card game. I have nothing against Kirk Cousins. I actually think he's a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
His last play of the season was pretty dumb when he threw a 3-yard out when he needed 12 yards, but that's
Yeah.
what he does. He reads the offense and reads the defense, throws to where the ball can actually be caught. It's what his game is. He's a good quarterback for it, but he's not like the game breaker type. Yeah, he'll have 4,000 yards passing. He'll have about 27 touchdowns, probably about 12 interceptions, and he'll be fine. He's a good NFL quarterback. He's not great. So he can't overcome what I think is going to be. I think Brian Flores, in the years following this, will have a defense that's on the way up. Right now, they're too little on talent on the defensive side. I do not see them holding up for another 11-0 in one-score games. I also think the fact that I think the Lions and the Bears take step forwards this year hurts them. Because they got 2-0 last year against the Bears. One of those, the Bears were driving, and the wide receiver, they caught a pass from Justin Fields, which is amazing. They usually dropped him. Caught it, ran, and then promptly dropped the fucking ball. He's no longer on our team, by the way, because that's what happens when you have Darnell Mooney and Byron Pringle as your top 2 fucking wide receivers.
Which is
Nothing
still-
against Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
He's a good second to third wide receiver. He should not be your primary. And on that same note, I think that the Lions, even with Jameson Williams getting hurt, the defensive moves they've made for the players they brought in, the offensive line is so good. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery at running back is a lethal combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jared Goff, honestly, just don't turn the fucking ball over,
Yeah.
and you'll have a winning season.
Yeah.
And I think the Packers, as much as I don't like them, I don't know what to think of Jordan Love. I do know that outside of the wide receivers, the rest of that team is fucking good.
Yes.
Zaire Alexander is likely the best cornerback in the game. Okay? You have great linebackers, great defensive line. The offensive line is fantastic. I hate this team. But they're a good team. They're a well-run organization.
They're a well-coached team for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I cannot hate on them too much. And because of the improvements from the other two teams and the Packers not slipping that much unless Jordan Love really sucks, I think the Vikings end up with a few more losses and miss out on the playoffs and the Lions make it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my thought process on it.
We'll see what happens.
We'll,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about this. We can sit here and...
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I think I said I thought Justin Herbert would be MVP.
Yeah.
Well, really the only thing you and I got right was Sauce Gardner.
That's true. We had a serious discussion about the fucking AFC West possibly being a 4 playoff
Oh my
division.
god! Oh my god!
It's like
Possible?
the potential. We're like it's like
Is it
It's
mathematically
mathematically
possible?
possible.
it is
yeah.
right, but it was
Three
like
wild cards. Yeah.
right, and we also like we were saying
Well,
like,
last year, yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to
right.
say, I'm not thinking that with the Raiders this year.
No,
yeah, but like
Last preseason.
right,
Yeah.
we thought because what the Raiders were doing and like they were
Also-
just scary enough, and like everyone thought Denver was going to be
I don't
like
wanna say
really
this.
terrifying.
And
They
poor
were
taste,
terrifying in a different way.
But that was also before Henry Ruggs.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, he's going to be a beast.
Yeah.
Well, he
Well,
might
he
still
is.
be when he gets out and he gets into NASCAR.
Oh
In
man.
NASCAR, if you end in a fiery collision, it's not that bad.
No.
No, he'll star in the newest remake of Death Race 3000.
Oh, yes! Oh, that's the kind of
Frankenstein.
humor I like. It's interesting you bring up Seattle, though, because I do think they are doing exactly what the 49ers are. Like, Geno Smith will not go down as the greatest quarterback in any of these seasons, but he was the most accurate quarterback last year.
Yeah.
They drafted offensive linemen that panned out. Cross that they drafted in like the second or third round, I think. Stud tackle. I think it was another one of the Broncos picks. No offense, but they're building
not
this.
sure,
they're
but
building
probably.
all this team, and the quarterback they've got at a pretty good discount for a quarterback, like 3 years, $80 million.
Yeah.
And if Geno just keeps up accuracy, I mean, DK and Tyler Lockett are great. If Jackson Smith and Jigba can just, I don't know, 65, 70 catches for like 800 yards and
Yeah.
like 5 touchdowns.
Enough to make them a
as
threat.
a third
Yeah.
wideout.
right.
Good luck trying to stop Jack Charbonnet or Walker.
Yeah.
And run it, like, there's so many things that offense can do because
And if
you're able
Walker
to-
stays healthy all season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God! Like the amount of offensive players they have, and then they were so good in aspects of defense last year. You bring in with a number 5 overall pick. I think Seattle's actually fascinating. The NFC West, other than the Cardinals, is fascinating. Can Matt Stafford stay healthy? If
Yeah.
he can,
Yeah.
that changed everything because if he and Cooper Kupp stay healthy, that offense is going to be clicking. The bigger question there is, can the defense do anything?
Yeah.
Because I think Cam Akers, at the end of last year, Cam Akers was playing really well.
Yeah.
So if he's recovered from that Achilles injury, now they got a running game too.
I'm really wondering, what if an 8-win team makes the wild card, not winning a division, makes a wild card? Like, could things be that level this year?
I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how close the fucking commies were, you know?
Yeah.
And
right.
granted, it's because they were playing in the NFC East.
Well, in the NFC,
Or in the NFC in general,
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
it's almost the sheer opposite of like the late '80s, early '90s, where you knew the Super Bowl ran through the NFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and almost all the quarterback talent did too, other than like Marino and Jim Kelly.
Fuck you.
Well, there was someone in Denver too. They blew every fucking Super Bowl they ever in until he actually got a running game.
And then we got 2.
I'm just fucking with it. No, but like I still think like the overall talent in those days
Yeah.
in the NFC
Yeah.
was much higher.
Yeah.
And these days, like, yes, the Eagles are good, the Cowboys are good, the San Francisco 49ers have a good squad, the Seahawks around Geno Wilson have a good team, but like the level of talent on those AFC squads is just
Yeah.
absolutely scary. So, if any side's going to do it, I think it's going to be the NFC. That may very well be that Panthers pick.
Could be.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, any last thoughts?
Not gonna lie, talking about playoff implications has probably got me more excited about football.
Yeah.
Really, like thinking about what's going on. Talking about all the draft picks, that's always fun and exciting, but you never know. It was such a wild year for coaching changes. That's what, but like really digging into the playoff, like thinking about like what these teams can do with their talent and the moves that are going to be made, and it's kind of fun talking about teams like Detroit and the Jets. You know, like
Yeah.
hold on,
Yeah, these are franchises that have been begging
Yeah.
begging
Right,
those
right.
teams.
So
Like people might actually watch the Thanksgiving Detroit Lions game this year.
yeah, this is honestly
now it's prime time.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was always prime time for Thanksgiving, but now it's actually prime time
Right.
watching,
Like,
not
literally,
just
yeah.
not just. Ooh, what team's gonna kick the shit
Yeah,
out of the Lions
yeah,
this
yeah.
year?
Who gets to win on Thanksgiving against the Lions? You know.
I mean, this is always the exciting time of year. You know, football's coming back. Everyone gets that energy again. We've had to watch fucking baseball.
Hey.
Ah,
Yeah.
jeez.
Go
If I have
Stros.
to watch one more team cheat to win a World Series,
Let it go,
God,
man. Let it go.
Never.
what?
You know, they've won another one since then.
The Yankees were doing it too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, like every team was. That's why
Yeah.
they stopped investigating.
bunch of fucking cheaters, man. It's like you got Bill Belichick coaching in the MLB.
Fucking watching the Kelsey podcast the other day, and they were talking about every time someone plays Kansas City, they make sure to wear the gloves that are the same color as the KC uniform
Right.
to get away with fucking holes. Like, holy shit.
That,
I never thought about that. Like, of course they do. Of course they do.
I
Do
love
you
I
know?
think this is a bad idea?
Like,
no, I do not.
Is it cheating? Yes. Is it illegal? No.
Yeah.
It's
I've
still
also
fucking cheating, though.
heard
You know?
like receivers wear white cleats often, so you can't discern.
Yep,
like,
it's
if
hard
they're-
to, the line blend, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I tell you what, it's weird in watching the preseason. You're like, oh, look at this top running back's 12-yard run. It's electric. You're like, it's just a 12-yard run.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they pulled him out after that, so he got like 3 carries. Like,
Yep.
there's preseason for you,
Against
man.
the third string defense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But,
Again,
you know,
though, like I like
yeah.
watching the last quarter, where
Yeah.
it's the guys that you know, maybe
Fighting
one of
for
them,
a spot,
if you're
yeah,
lucky, maybe
yeah.
one of them will make the team, but they play so fucking hard.
Yep. Well, you have to. Yeah.
Absolutely, like watching what's his name, David Blah
Yeah.
last year. We were sure he'd make the Lions.
He
after
looked
that.
really good, though. Yeah.
wow.
Eric, any last thoughts?
No, I think you covered it all. I know we talked about the Lions on Thanksgiving. I don't know if they released a schedule, but the Lions-Cowboys Thanksgiving game would be.
But they each play.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like the Lions do a home game, the Cowboys do a home
Oh,
game.
okay, so there's
For a
no
long
chance of
time,
them playing each other.
The reason the
Okay.
Lions got it originally, from what I understand, is because no one else wanted it. So like, fuck yeah, we'll take a home
Yeah.
game every Thanksgiving. Now it's the Cowboys and the Lions, always doing a home game on Thanksgiving. You gonna look up the schedule for us?
Yeah,
real
really
fast?
curious.
Oh, yeah, good point. But yeah, I coming to the end of the sports drought.
Yes.
You know, there's those little sprinkled in things like the NBA draft and the NFL draft. Those are always fun. But getting back into the fall season where football starts up, basketball starts up, we can stop being outside and enjoying the nice weather, and we can
Yeah.
huddle into a little.
Stop going out on a
Yeah.
boat and enjoying being on the river
So,
or the lake.
Yeah. When also
What terrible
possibly-
things to do.
Before we go? Is there anything on the chat that's worth looking into, Brian?
Oh, sorry. I totally didn't look at it at all.
Oh, boy! Apparently, we don't care about people.
Is this the league? Collusion!
Oh, good. Great.
Packers play the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Oh,
And
that should be
then Commies,
fun.
Cowboys, and then Niners, Seahawks.
Honestly, that's a good slate.
That-
That's
It
a
actually
Slate.
is, yeah.
Fuck, I'm working that day.
Sucks to be you. We'll text you with updates.
Yeah, that's a great slate of football.
Really is.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
side note, this is the 5th straight Thanksgiving I'm going to get to work. But I looked at
Do
it
you
on my
get Christmas
schedule.
off?
No.
Oh.
You get New Year's off.
All right.
Fair enough.
It is what it is. All right, so that's our show for the week. I am Matty Fax, Scottnathan Staten, a.k.a. Scotty Stats, Brian the Professor, Eric, otherwise known as Pepe Le Producer.
The great skunk hunter.
We are recording this live on YouTube every Sunday night at 8 o'clock through the NFL season. This is what we're going to be doing instead of our show. If y'all were watchers of the show before, we will have the podcast available on Apple Podcast and Spotify, usually within a day of having recorded it. And we'll send out tweets and TikTok videos and all that fun stuff to let you
Tweets?
know. Oh, sorry, X's.
X's?
Yeah.
That's just so fucking weird.
It's going to change.
I'm going to
Max.
buy the
Yeah.
company and change the name so no one knows what we're talking
that
about.
sounds awful.
I'm still going to say tweet just because fuck them.
Yeah.
What if every time you send it, it actually goes da na 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 na? Instead of
Oh,
you know?
nice. Just like I'm going to call them the football team.
yeah.
Or the commies.
Or the counties.
Yeah, it works. Anyway, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify right now, please give us a like, give us a follow. Leave a review. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. We'd love to hear. If you are listening for the first time and just finding out that we're recording this live on Sunday night, that's 8 o'clock Eastern time, by the way. If you want to drop something in the chat, have a question for us, we would love to answer that in real time. We have no problem doing that. That's why we're switching to this format and doing this. And we'll be back next Sunday with our thoughts on the week's news, notes, and we'll start looking into who we're going to think is going to win the division and all those fun little steps as we get
Rookies of the
closer
year.
and closer
Yeah.
to real fucking football. I think we're only like 3 weeks away.
3, I
Three
think.
weeks. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Holy shit, I cannot wait. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We are Half the Distance Live. Have a wonderful week. We will talk to you next Sunday.